I walked through the front door just after midnight, boots caked in factory grime, shoulders screaming from another 10-hour shift. House was dark, TV off, no smell of food, no "hey, you're home." Nothing. Just the sound of the fridge humming and the dog's tail thumping once against the floor before he laid back down like even he knew better. "Everything all right?" I called out as I kicked my boots off by the door. Silence. I walked into the kitchen. She was there, sitting at the table in her robe, scrolling on her phone, bowl of soup half-eaten in front of her. I tried again. "You eat already?" She didn't even look up, just stood, grabbed her bowl, and walked right past me like I was the damn coat rack. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I stood there for a second, blinking. "Okay, cool," I muttered, like maybe I was the one who missed something. I followed her down the hallway. "You're not gonna say anything?" Still nothing. She shut the bedroom door behind her with a soft click. Polite enough to not be a slam, but cold enough that I felt it in my gut. That was how day one started. Now look, I'm not clueless. I knew where this came from. Night before we had a talk. Or I tried to. I brought up maybe shifting things around, not even a fight. I work long hours at the plant, and I'm still the one fixing the car, mowing the yard, paying bills, unclogging drains, killing spiders, you name it. I asked her calmly if we could rebalance some things. That maybe it was time she picked up a few more responsibilities. She lost it. Full-on meltdown. "You don't appreciate anything I do. You think I sit around doing nothing? You treat me like a maid." None of that's true. I never once said she didn't do enough. I just said I was doing too much. But that didn't matter. And then cold. "Not our first round of this. She's pulled this kind of crap before. Silent treatment for a day or two, long sighs, slamming cabinets, freezing me out until I apologized for things I didn't even say. But this time, this one hit different. She wasn't sulking. She was plotting, measured, controlled. At first, I thought she was just being petty. But by day 3, I realized this was something else. By the end of that first week, the silence wasn't just quiet, it was weaponized. She made dinner for herself every night, cleaned her plate, and left the mess. She walked right past my laundry basket like it was invisible. No eye contact, no casual noise, no shared space. And yet, she wasn't sad. That's what got me. I'd hear her down the hall, giggling on the phone with her girlfriends. Soft laughter floating through the vents while I sat alone in the living room. I even heard her say once, "No, he's just being stubborn." I thought he'd cave by now. That line stuck with me. She wasn't hurt. She was playing a game, testing how far she could push, seeing if silence would bend me into shape. And I'd seen it before. Few years back, we were at her sister's house for a 4th of July barbecue. Her sister said something harmless about how the potato salad was too salty. Next day, silent treatment, full shutdown. Wouldn't text her back, wouldn't talk to her. I remember thinking it was childish then. I should have known it'd come my way eventually. So I stopped trying. Didn't ask how her day was. Didn't wait to see if she made dinner. Didn't fold, didn't flinch. I just lived. I came home and it was quiet. But it wasn't bad quiet. It was peaceful. I started watching the shows I actually liked. Stretched out across the couch instead of sitting stiff in the corner. No background complaining about the volume. No snide comments about my trashy taste in TV. Just me, the remote, and full control. No nagging about dishes. No passive-aggressive comments about me leaving my boots near the door. No arguments about how much salt I used or whether my snack counted as dinner. It was like living in a hotel where the staff hated you, but you had the whole suite to yourself. I stopped tiptoeing around her moods, ate what I wanted, left my laundry in the basket, turned the fan on full blast at night like I used to before she said it dried out her sinuses. She was still trying to win some imaginary war. Me? I was finally catching my breath. One night, I made microwave nachos, just chips and cheese, no shame, and sat back watching an old action movie with the volume up. I could hear her pacing upstairs. That familiar stomp. But this time, I didn't mute the TV. I didn't lower the sound or pause it to ask what was wrong. Because nothing was wrong. This was the most right things had felt in a long time. The air in the house felt lighter without the emotional landmines. No fake smiles, no forced conversations, no waiting for her mood to swing. Just silence, the kind that didn't expect anything from me. She could walk around like I didn't exist. Fine. I was starting to realize how good that actually felt. Couple days into the silence, I wandered out to the garage. No real reason. Just didn't feel like sitting inside anymore. Surrounded by tension and stiff air. The kind of quiet that starts to feel like it's watching you. I flipped on the lights. Dust floated through the beams like fog. Boxes stacked high. Old tools rusting. Shelves packed with junk that hadn't been touched in years. And there, shoved in the back like an old regret, sat the '69 Camaro, covered in a tarp, for flat tires, paint dull from neglect. That car used to be my escape, my therapy, my pride. I grabbed the corner of the tarp and yanked it off. Underneath, she was still beautiful, dented, dirty, forgotten, but still mine. I ran my hand along the hood, cool to the touch, gritty with dust. It felt like shaking hands with an old friend I hadn't seen since before I got married. Back then, I spent weekends out here, tuning, sanding, swapping parts. I'd play classic rock too loud, drink a cold one, get grease under my nails and not care. It made me feel like me, but she hated it. The oil stinks, she said. It's too loud, she said. You're wasting time like a teenager, she said. Grow up. And eventually I gave in. Covered the car, boxed the tools, stopped ordering parts. She said I needed to focus on real life. And I did. But that night, I popped the hood open and just stood there, breathing in the old metal and grime. Felt better than the air inside the house. I found my socket set buried under a pile of winter coats. Spread out my tools on the bench. Dug out the old shop light. That first night, all I did was clean. Scrubbed down the engine block, cleared out rat droppings from the floorboards, vacuumed every corner. By the time I shut the lights off and went back inside, I smelled like grease and dust, and I couldn't have cared less. The next evening, I was back out there again. Wrench in hand, sleeves rolled up, music low but steady. I lost track of time cleaning the carb, labeling wires, checking fuses. My hands remembered what to do even if my brain needed a minute to catch up. At one point, I fired up the angle grinder, just a quick cut on a rusted bolt, and from inside the house, I heard a loud slam, probably the bathroom door. I smiled. I figured if she's ignoring me, she can't complain either. And that became my new routine. Work, garage, sleep, repeat. I started ordering parts again. Small stuff at first, gaskets, spark plugs, belts. Every box that hit the porch felt like a tiny win. Something for me. Something that didn't come with a guilt trip. I started keeping my beer in the mini fridge out there. Played old AC/DC and Skynyrd playlists. Turned up the volume little by little. No one came out to tell me to lower it. No one came out at all. She'd walk past the door sometimes, heading to her car or taking out trash, but never looked in. It was like the garage didn't exist. Like I didn't exist. Fine by me. The first night I got the engine to fire up, I didn't even mean to, was just checking connections, battery had enough juice, and boom, that familiar roar. Rough idle, but it ran. From the upstairs window, I saw the bedroom light flick on. A second later, slam. I leaned back on the stool, wiped my hands and cracked a beer. That sound? That wasn't just a motor firing. That was me coming back to life. I was under the hood again, deep into the wiring harness, hands black with grease and grit. Classic rock was humming low in the background. Simple Man. I think I had just crimped a new connector when I heard the garage door creak open behind me. Didn't think much of it at first. Figured she needed something from the storage shelves. Then I heard her voice, sharp and bitter. You're seriously doing this again? I froze mid-reach, then straightened up slow, like I had all the time in the world. Wiped my hands on a rag, turned around. I didn't even try to hide the grin. Oh, so you can talk. Her eyes went wide for a split second. Not shock, panic. Like she just realized she slipped and broke her own strike. She clamped her mouth shut, jaw clenched, fists tight by her sides, spun on her heel and stormed out without another word. Door slammed. I stood there for a second, letting it all settle in. Even when she broke silence, her first words were still aimed at making me feel stupid, like I was some immature kid playing with toys in the garage, not a man trying to reclaim something that mattered. That was the moment it clicked. This wasn't just about the car. Wasn't even about the silence. It was about control, slow, daily control. The way her disapproval had chipped away at everything I loved over the years. TV shows, food, hobbies, music, even how I dressed. All of it had been under quiet attack. And I let it happen. Not anymore. I wiped the sweat off my forehead, tossed the rag aside, and went back to work. Got under the dash and kept pulling wires, checking connections. The longer I worked, the more awake I felt. That night I went online and started browsing for parts one used to only daydream about. Chrome valve covers, a full wiring harness, a Holley carb kit I'd wanted for years. Click, add to cart, checkout. I hadn't spent money on myself in a long time. Felt good. I cracked open the mini fridge, grabbed a cold beer, and turned the music up, loud enough to rattle the damn shelves. The next morning, she avoided the garage like it was toxic waste. Fine. I started spending more time in there than I did in the house. I made a new playlist, old school stuff. Skynyrd, Zeppelin, CCR, some Stones. Let it roll loud while I worked, volume cranked just enough to make the walls vibrate. Every time the bass kicked, it felt like I was hammering another nail into the coffin of whatever fake peace we'd been living in. She never came out again after that first slip-up. But I knew she heard it all. The music, the laughter from the videos I played, the engine turning over late into the night. The silence inside wasn't hers anymore. It was mine now. One morning, I walked in from the garage, looked around the living room, and thought, why the hell is this still set up for her? The couch was angled toward the fireplace, not the TV. The throw pillows were stiff and useless, all decorative fluff and no comfort. That stupid farmhouse wall sign, Live, Laugh, Love, stared at me like it owned the damn house. So I moved it all, turned the couch square to the TV, pulled the recliner over by the window, took down the fake plant she always insisted brightened the room, tossed the pillows in the hall closet, put the old coffee table back in front of the couch, the one she made me replace with some modern piece that looked like a giant cereal bowl. I sat down, kicked my feet up. Perfect. Then I hit the kitchen. I cleared a corner of the counter that used to be mine before she covered it with glass jars of dried pasta and useless decor signs. Dragged out my old coffee maker from the basement, the one with the steel carafe and timer function. Set it next to a tin of real coffee beans. Not that hazelnut garbage she buys. Put my mug rack back up. Simple. No pastel colors, no quotes about mornings. It was my coffee bar again. She came downstairs about an hour later, robe tight, jaw tighter. She stood in the kitchen doorway and just stared. Her eyes moved from the recliner to the couch to the coffee setup. She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Said nothing. Not a damn word. Just turned around and went back upstairs. I didn't even blink. That night I made spicy chili in my cast iron. The kind she always said, made the whole house smell. I let it simmer for 2 hours, windows shut, fan off. Then I fried bacon for grilled cheese. Thick-sliced, greasy, loud. She came down right as I was plating. Paused at the bottom of the stairs. Took one deep sniff of the air and looked like she'd been slapped. I ate at the table. Took my time. She grabbed a salad from the fridge, kale, cucumbers, no dressing. Sat as far from me as she could. Picked at her plate like it was punishment. Then stormed off without saying a word. I licked the bowl clean. Next weekend, I tackled the guest bedroom. Took down the flower print curtains. Rolled up the rug. Moved in a folding table, set up my tools, paints, glue. Boxes of model cars I hadn't touched in years went onto the shelves. I opened the window, let the air in, and built my first kit in over a decade. A '57 Chevy. Red with chrome trim. No one knocked. No one hovered. No one asked why I was wasting time. The house started to feel different. I could hear the music from the garage humming through the walls while I painted in the spare room. Smelled bacon in the mornings, chilly at night. The couch actually faced the TV. My boots stayed by the door. My mug sat on the counter. It didn't feel like a shared space anymore. Felt like home. I was sanding down the front fender, sparks flying, sleeves rolled up, sweat running down my back. AC/DC blaring through the Bluetooth speaker. The garage smelled like dust and metal and old gasoline. Perfect. I just hit my rhythm when I felt someone behind me. She was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes full of heat. "You're doing this just to hurt me," she snapped. I turned off the sander, looked her dead in the face. Calm, steady. "No," I said. "I'm doing it because I finally feel alive again." Her mouth opened like she had something ready, but nothing came out. Just a shake of the head and a scoff. She spun around and stomped off, barefoot on the cold concrete like she couldn't get away fast enough. Door slammed. Again. I went right back to sanding. Next morning, I walked into the kitchen and found a sticky note on the counter. Her handwriting neat and sharp. "The noise is disturbing the neighbors." I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash without breaking stride. Poured my coffee, took a long sip, walked straight back to the garage. That day I doubled my hours, cranked the speaker even louder, fired up the air compressor, the cutoff wheel, every noisy tool I had. I pulled the muffler just for fun, let the engine run a little louder than usual. No complaints. Not from the neighbors. Just her. She didn't come out again. I kept working. When my hands weren't on the car, they were on my phone. Looking at apartments, storage units, tools I could take with me, studio setups, places with detached garages, bachelor pads. No potpourri, no neutral tones, no matching towel sets. Just space to breathe. And in the middle of it all, this question kept playing in my head, over and over again. Why the hell did I ever give this up? I came inside late that night, covered in sweat and dust, phone in one hand, looking at a Craigslist ad for a rental with a detached garage. I tossed my gloves on the kitchen table, cracked my neck, and was halfway to the fridge when I heard her voice upstairs. She didn't know I was home. She was on the phone again, not laughing this time. Her voice was low, tense. I stepped back into the hallway and leaned against the wall, dead silent. "I don't know what's wrong with him," she whispered. "This was supposed to teach him a lesson. Now he's acting like I'm not even here." There was a pause, then the sound of her pacing. I thought he'd break, like before. He always does. I stood there frozen, heart beating hard but steady. It hit me like a punch to the chest. This wasn't about the chores or the car or the fight. This was about control. This whole thing was a test. Power play. A sick little game she thought she'd win. She wanted me begging for attention, crawling back with an apology. But I didn't cave this time, and now she was scared. I walked straight past the fridge, grabbed my laptop off the kitchen counter, and took it to the garage. Typed into Google, "divorce attorneys near me," and just sat there. That old, heavy silence crept back in, but this time it didn't feel oppressive. It felt clear. Cold, yeah, but sharp. Focused. I'd been blind to it for years. I thought about everything I'd given up since I married her. Used to play poker with the guys on Fridays. She hated it, said it was trashy. That stopped. Used to take weekend bike rides out to the lake. Too dangerous, she said. Used to listen to real music, guitars, drums, soul. She said it gave her headaches. Now it was spa playlists and sad piano music playing through the house all day. Even the way I laughed, that loud, real kind that came from deep in my gut, it faded. Somewhere between the "can you nots" and the eye rolls and the constant damn corrections. I opened a blank notepad and wrote one thing at the top. Stuff I used to love. And I just started listing. Fishing, grilled burgers, baseball on the radio, building model cars, Sunday drives with no destination, fall bonfires, real coffee, making my own playlist, denim jackets, late-night tacos. The list kept going. It was like I was remembering who I was, in pieces. By the time I hit the bottom of the page, My chest felt lighter than it had in years. I closed the laptop and looked around the garage, at the tools, the car, the posters, the speaker thumping out some Tom Petty. This was the only room in the house that felt like me. I made a plan right then. One more day, one more round of this fake, bitter silence. And then I'd be done. Next morning, I called out of work. Didn't fake a cough. Didn't make up a story. Just said I needed the day. Then I grabbed my keys, climbed into the truck, and drove across town to a small law office tucked between a bakery and a dentist. Place smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. Woman at the front desk gave me a polite nod and handed me a clipboard. I filled it out and waited. Didn't wait long. She came out wearing slacks and a dark green blouse, gray streaks in her pulled-back hair, eyes sharp behind wire frames. Nameplate on her door said Marla Whitaker ESQ. We sat down. She didn't waste time with small talk. "So, what are we doing here today?" she asked, crossing one leg over the other, legal pad in hand. I told her the truth, the silence, the games, the years of slow cuts, the garage, the fight that never ended. She didn't interrupt, didn't nod along like a therapist, just wrote, flipped pages, listened like a pro. When I finished, she set the pen down and said, "You sound like a man who already knows what he wants." I nodded. "Yeah, I do." She drafted the paperwork in under an hour. Clear, direct, clean break, no kids, no shared business, just a line drawn in ink and initials at the bottom. I signed, paid the fee, walked out feeling like I just dropped 50 pounds. On the way home, I stopped at the grocery store, walked past the roses, the tulips, the lilies, bought sunflowers, big, loud, golden yellow sunflowers. She hates them, says they're tacky, says they make the house look like a gas station gift shop. I love them, always have. At home, I set the bouquet dead center on the kitchen table. Found one of those mini notepads in the junk drawer, tore off a page and wrote, "Thanks for the best 3 weeks of our marriage." Left it under the flowers. Then I took another sheet, folded it in half and paperclipped it to the divorce packet. This one was plain and final. "You wanted silence. Here's your answer." I tucked the papers under the vase, walked out to the garage, cracked open a beer, and turned on some Skinnerd. Next morning, I made breakfast. 2 eggs over easy, sausage links, real toast with real butter. The coffee machine gurgled behind me while the grease popped in the skillet. She came down about halfway through, still in pajamas, hair up, confused look on her face. I didn't say a word. She saw the flowers first, paused, then saw the note. Her head tilted. I watched the confusion twist into smug. "You think this is funny?" she said, voice sharp. I took a bite of sausage, slow and calm, wiped my mouth, sipped my coffee. Then I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Oh, so we're talking now?" She stood there, arms crossed, still trying to look like she had the upper hand. Like the flowers were some kind of joke I'd eventually walk back. I pushed my plate aside and stood up, reached over, slid the divorce packet across the table toward her. Her face fell. "What the hell is this?" I looked her in the eye, steady and calm. "This is me being done." She opened the folder like she expected it to be empty, scanned the first page, then the second. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked up at me like I'd just spoken a language she didn't understand. "You don't mean this," she said finally. "You're just angry." "No," I said. "I'm clear." I leaned against the counter, arms folded. Let her sit with it. "You know when the peace came back into this house?" I asked. "The second you stopped talking. That's when I realized it. I wasn't lonely. I was free." She blinked fast like I'd slapped her. "I've spent 10 years walking on eggshells," I said. "And these past 28 days, I learned more about our marriage than I did in the whole damn decade before it." Her face twisted. "This is insane." "No," I said. "This is clarity." She stood there, stunned, then suddenly moved fast, grabbing at straws. "Wait," she said. "We can fix this. We just need to talk." I didn't mean. "I already did," I said, grabbing my keys off the hook. "I fixed me." I walked past her, out the front door, into the sun. Didn't hear her follow. Didn't need to. Threw my bag in the truck, fired it up, and backed down the driveway like I was leaving a job I should have quit years ago. She tried to show me what life looked like without her. Turns out I liked the view.